So the Phoenix real estate market has been in the news a lot recently, and for the most part, they are speaking a lot of truths, but there's one big thing that they're missing the mark on. And as a result of this, it's really misguiding a lot of people that are looking for a home and creating a lot of misconceptions, particularly across social media. And the thing that the media is really missing is their timeline is way off. The things they're reporting that are happening in our market today actually happened last March, April. And although the spring is not that long ago, we've actually seen our market shift quite a bit, particularly in the past 6 to 8 weeks. And if you're planning on moving in the next year, it's really important to understand what's happening in today's market, not what happened, 5-6 months ago. And the reason for that is this is what's going to help you negotiate the best deal and ultimately keep as much money in your pocket as possible. I'm Courtney Strelzik. I'm a local real estate agent here in the Phoenix East Valley, and I am a real estate market nerd. I know it inside and out, but today we're going to keep it really simple, mainly so I don't bore you and give you really practical input, if you are planning on buying a home this year. And a couple things the news is repeatedly saying to us right now is the number of homes on the market has skyrocketed. Home values are dropping, and we are falling into a really cool market or a buyer's market, meaning buyers have the upper hand. Now, let's talk about home prices dropping. This is actually something that we saw in the later springtime. In March, our median sales price was about $460,000, and it did drop down about 3%. And it's funny because a lot of these news articles were using words like crashing or plunging, and I do feel that these terms are a little bit fear-mongering terms, if you will, because yes, prices did go down about 3%, but I wouldn't define that as crashing. And another thing to keep in mind too is when you look at year over year, so comparing September 2025 to September 2024, the median sales price actually did go up just a little bit. So it's not like we were seeing, the median sales drop significantly like we did in the great financial crisis in 2008. But again, this happened in the spring. It's not what's happening today. What we've actually seen in July and August is stability. And actually August, the median sales price went up ever so tiny. It was like $1,600. I wouldn't say that's a huge change, but we are seeing stability at this point. Now, as a side note, I do want to debunk another myth or misconception that the media was putting out there. And they were saying the market was crashing because we were seeing a lot of price reductions for homes that were for sale on the market. And unfortunately, this is pretty poor journalism. I don't want to be calling people out, but it is the truth. And the reason for this is the list price for a home, if it's listed on Zillow at $550, it doesn't mean that the home value is worth $550. The home value is determined by what it actually sells for. And that was the most important piece of data that a lot of these articles were eliminating from their reports. So if that home on Zillow was listed at $550, but it really was worth $500,000 and the sellers had to do a price reduction in order to sell it, it doesn't mean that the value of the home dropped down. It usually means that the home was initially overpriced. And the market today is very sensitive to pricing, yes, because it's a slower market. There are a lot of reasons why we were seeing price reductions. So if that is something you want me to talk about in the future, just go ahead and put it in the comments and I can do a follow-up video. But the second thing the news was frequently bringing up is that our inventory, the number of homes for sale on the market, skyrocketed. And again, this is true, but this happened in the springtime. And we can actually see that right here, through January all the way up to April, May, we saw a huge surplus of inventory. But if you look in the past couple months, we can see that has dropped down quite a bit. And right now we're about 20,000 homes on the market. The other thing to note is that we also saw more buyers come to the market, more people shopping for homes. So really we saw in the past couple months, we've seen supply go down and demand go up. And when that happens, the market does get a little bit more competitive. But are we still in a buyer's market, meaning buyers have the upper hand? Technically, when we look at Phoenix Metro as a whole, we are in a buyer's market. And if you look right here, this looks at the balance of supply and demand. And once we get, into that red, we're technically a buyer's market, but you can see we're barely tipping into a buyer's market. The other thing to consider too is Phoenix Metro is really big. So when we look at major cities within Phoenix Metro, we are seeing some cities that are sellers markets, some that are neutral markets, meaning it's a more even playing field, and then we are seeing a handful that are in buyers markets. So we know today that the market has shifted. We're slowly getting a little more competitive ever so slightly, but where is the market going? Now, seasonally, this is the time of the year where we actually see the market slow down quite a bit, particularly once we get past like Halloween throughout the holidays, it really slows down. However, macroeconomic trends like mortgage rates, this can interrupt typical seasonal patterns. And in case you haven't seen, mortgage rates are the lowest they have been in over a year, and this often will increase demand. It will bring more home buyers out shopping. Now, when I say that the market is shifting and it's starting to pick up, I don't want you to panic. We still have a lot of inventory. It's about 25% more than we actually did last year. So you're gonna have a lot of options. You know, a lot of new construction is actually offering incredible deals and incentives. And for those that are looking for more resale homes, homes that are not new construction, the best news is 57% of home sales in August, the sellers gave money to the buyers via seller concessions. And the median amount was $10,000. And some of these seller concessions are gonna be lower, some are gonna be higher. And I actually had one client, she was a physician and she had a physician loan. So she had a 0% down payment. And then I was able to negotiate over $16,000 worth of seller concessions. And she was able to take that money and put it towards closing costs. So she had to bring $0 to the closing table. All she had to pay for was the general inspection fee. And then I had another client where we negotiated $21,000 of seller concessions, and they were actually able to give a chunk of that to the bank, to the lender, to do a rate buy down so that their monthly payment was considerably lower, and the remaining funds they were able to put towards their closing costs. So it just kept a lot of money in their pocket. There's multiple ways to use these seller concessions. I even had one client cover the cost of a brand new roof. So if you want to figure out what strategy may make the most amount of sense for you, I have a link below where you can actually schedule a call and we can actually break things down for your personal scenario. And as always, if you have any questions, go ahead, don't be shy, reach out, and have a fantastic day.